So team, welcome back to day 3, continuation for our mobile application testing tutorials. Let's continue from where we left in day 2. So before we get started, a quick review of what we did in day 2. So primarily what we try to do in the whole process is to create one project which will last between 4 to 6 sessions. I introduced you the application that we're going to be working with, hotels.com, for the first project. At a high level, I showed you what kind of a test planning we'll be doing, how we prepare our entire infrastructure to start testing and so on. And then we went about creating our detailed test cases and test steps. We are still in the process of creation of test cases and test steps. We can then get into the testing aspect, the execution of those test cases we're going to get into eventually. All right, so let's take a quick look at where we left our day 2 at, and then we can continue. So as you know, most of whatever we do as a plan, overall, we've been trying to use both this Excel, and we've also been trying to use the Word doc where we're storing all the set of information, right? So I'm going to take a different version of this specific document and then continue from there. So Alt F8. I'm going to call this as release 1 test scenarios 1. I'm going to call this as test scenarios 2. So team, let's do a quick walkthrough of what it is that we have done. I showed you how we have using iPad as the device and how we are testing an application specifically, which is an app that we downloaded from our Apple Store for hotels.com, and how we're going about executing it. As we went about creating the different test cases, we also gave it a good detail of what all we should have as the depth to which we will write these test cases. So we said, let's put a test case ID, let's describe what the test case is all about. How do we, what is the prerequisite to start the testing? Then how do we go about executing that specific test steps for that case? And then how do we go about expecting what we see at the end? All right. So this is very, very important thing. And then when you actually do the executions, you're going to put in the details of what happened, what was the outcome. But beyond that, what we additionally did and made sure was to take screenshots of the application so that we know what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be doing it, and so on. All right. So do you remember, team, that we started to create an Excel with a checklist, and we said, what is it that we will focus on, right? So it is very, very important for you to be aware that there are specific areas that we will focus more because it is mobile application testing now. The devices are different, the way that users use these devices are different, and hence the way the applications are shown on these devices are significantly different. And that is the reason there are certain areas that we will have to emphasize. Now, do note this, team. There are two very, very important areas of mobile application testing. All right. So one area is the regular functional testing. Okay, the functionality of the application that we'll test and make sure that the application is behaving as per what we expect it to. As part of this, yes, we will also look at the UI. We will also look at performance and so on. Right. We will also look at how the entire workflow of the application is. Okay, this is the functional testing portion. And then we have the specific environmental testing or mobile application testing. So for mobile application testing, we have very specific requirements. And here is, since it's a mobile device, how does it work during installation of that application itself or uninstallation of the application? What happens when you launch that application? How does the application behave at that point in time? What happens when there are interruptions that are happening, like an alert or a voice call or a message or another application behaving? or things like network coverage, what happens to the application under different circumstances. Okay, so it is very important for you to be able to break down your entire testing into these two broad categories: your regular functional testing and mobile application testing. So team, what I'm looking at is not giving you the complete aspect of the 9 years of mobile application testing right away. But towards end of each project, you will see the complete picture coming together. Okay, so the document that we have created so far is more towards the functional testing. How is the UI of the application? How is the workflow? Is it working correctly or not? And so on. Now, let us create a quick template on the other side. So, in fact, out here, let me divide them into let me create a new sheet here, and I'm going to call this as mobile app testing test scenarios. Okay, testing scenarios, app testing scenarios or cases. So here I'm going to start writing all that is required for us to be able to also emphasize very significantly and go about doing it. Okay, did I lose my audio for a second? I hope I'm back. All right, Imtiaz, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm glad about it. Okay, team, my audio is fine. Can I get a quick confirmation from the audience, please? All right, great. Thank you. Okay, so let me put the broad categories. Okay, test scenario. What is it that we will test? Okay, test description of it, detailed steps. Okay, so this is what we will do, team, and this is where the specific differentiation of what we're going to be doing specific to mobile application testing is going to be coming to. This is the essence of everything. All right, so the regular what we are doing, the functional testing aspect of on the mobile devices is out here. But now let us start parallelly on mobile application testing. How do we focus on specific things? So what am I talking about? I'm talking about scenarios of installation. What do I mean when I say installation? So this is the scenario wherein you are seeing how are you able to install the application. Okay, installing the app on the device. Now, how do we go about doing it? We will come to the detailed steps at a later point, but this is what we will focus on. Okay, let me give it a background. All right, installing, and then similarly we have uninstallation. Why is this coming as bold? Okay, I gave it as bold. Uninstallation. All right. Then let's talk about what will happen when you launch the app. Okay, how is it supposed to behave? And here is where you should also talk about how quickly, how many seconds does it take to launch, and so on. And if you make it as a sleep or standby, okay, what happens to that application? Then what happens when you closes the application? So this behavioral testing becomes very important. How does the overall application behave under these circumstances? Okay, so what does that mean? And we will be drawing this architecturally towards the end of the project when we summarize all that we did. Okay, so we are doing functional testing, right? In this functional testing, let's assume that this box is talking about all the different test cases that we'll execute of how the application is supposed to be behaving. But at the same time, we will take a few of the test cases and we will expose it to each of these scenarios. what is happening to this application after installation, during uninstalling it, and so on. Okay. Then we can talk about what happens to the application when we have interruptions. Okay, interruptions or disruptions, whatever. So this could be various things. You could categorize them all under one, or you could have it under different things. You could talk about voice calls. Okay, you could talk about text alerts. Okay, you could talk about messages and so on. All right. What is happening when we're talking about what's that? Upgrade the OS operating systems. When you upgrade, what happens to it? Okay, then what happens when you update the application version itself? If there's a new version and you're updating it, what happens? Okay, then you will talk about network specific. Okay, specific testing. This will become very critical, team. Now, we are creating this at a high level as a generic level. We will then customize this specifically for our application. All right, because for each application, depending on the type of application, sometimes network testing is more critical, and some, depending on another application, it is not that critical. For example, Netflix. Okay, network testing is probably more critical, where we will say if it's on Wi-Fi, hey, great, Wi-Fi, don't worry, it should work perfectly. If it is on a 4G network also, it does not stop you. But let's say that since this is video streaming on a 3G network or a 2G network and so on, it starts to pop up messages saying that you are using a 3G network. There could be additional time. So the detailed test steps that you write for that specific application will be varying. Okay, so remember this very, very importantly. So I'm going to call this as mobile application testing scenarios. All right, version 1.1. I don't need the plan and checklist in this. I'll delete these sheets. Okay, so this is the network specific testing. What happens under various network states? Okay, what happens during each of these? Then you will also talk about and changing between states. So very simple example, team. If I'm losing out of a Wi-Fi, okay, and I'm getting into a 4G network, what happens? If I'm testing an application like Skype on my Android phone, okay, and if I'm making a call over Skype, what happens when I move away from a Wi-Fi zone to a 4G zone? That expectation has to be very clearly mentioned in here, team. That becomes very important. Okay. Let's see what else is there. Can anyone think of anything else that keeps coming as part of the testing? Change of orientation. Okay. All right. So what happens when you change the orientation of the screen itself from a portrait to landscape and so on? Right. That becomes very important. Let's look at low resources. Okay, this could be battery, this could be memory. Okay, let's say there are too many applications open at the same time. How is this application behaving at that point in time? Okay, what happens when you hit some random keys that you hit on your device? All right, and so on. And again, team, we have not completed through a complete list of it. We will keep doing this as we build onto it. But now what we need to be doing, team, is memory, charging, everything. So instead of saying low resources, we'll just say hardware based. Okay, charging. And what else is there? just see Bluetooth. Okay, in network specific itself, or I'm thinking, where should I put Bluetooth testing? Is it going to be in interruptions, or I want to put it into specific states? So there are a few more that will come into it, but let's see. Yeah, actually, in fact, you're right. I can put it into mode, mobile mode. In this, I can put as airplane mode, all right, and then Bluetooth mode. Then we can also put into a GPS mode, all right. Then you have battery saver modes, okay, and so on. All right. Close the launch. Where is the upgrade the OS? Upgrade alerts. Upgrade failures. And so on. Okay. All right. So at a high level, we have put the most important ones. There could be a few other things here and there that will happen. Okay. There is something called as field testing, which is basically what happens. Again, it's under network specific testing itself. What happens when you're moving in and out of various fields. Now, for our specific application, hotels.com, what happens for installation? When we want to install the application, how do we go about doing it? So those details we will have to put in here, team. Okay. So let's open up the app again using the reflector that I had shown you earlier, team, if you remember. And start writing out all the things that are needed first. In fact, I deliberately put the battery to a low zone so we could do some testing based on it, but we are not yet getting into the execution mode yet. But we'll get onto it quickly. So it's a PC. Okay, can you all see the screen for iPad? All right. So here was the application that we had, right? So now installation, and uninstallation. For this, what is it that we're going to be doing? Right. So the first thing is when we go to the App Store to look at how the application is supposed to be behaving, then we talk about that specific. Okay. So you have to make sure that under your App Store, you take the exact screen of what you wish to see. So here we're saying hotels.com, right? Okay. So this could be your first thing. All right. So for your iPad apps display during search, the detail to which you will need to test is going to be significant. Okay. The biggest thing, and I'll mention this again, team, about mobile application testing is the detail to which you'll write your test cases. Okay. Lot of teams and projects are still being done without proper test case being written, but that will become very, very essential overall. All right. So we're going to take a screenshot of this. All right. And we can put it either in here, or you could generate a new Word document and put everything here. I'm trying to give all the different styles, team, that you could use. You could then implement what is best for you. Okay. This specific document alone, I'm going to save it as screenshots, app screenshots, test scenario, installation. All right. So just for the installation point of view, what is it that we're expecting to see? All right. So you can start giving it the names again. IMG001 is what I'm calling this, and this specific same name, I'm going to make sure that we put it in here. Right. Now, team, when we come to day 4, which is on Friday, in fact, going forward, our schedule is going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want one of you to actually help me do the test on your machines. Okay. if one of you have an iPad, and I'll show you how to do a reflector, I want you to do it because I am creating the test cases. There is no fun in me executing those things again, right away. But if we do it on a different machine like yours, from a different perspective, that will be very exciting. I want one of you to definitely volunteer on that for me, right? So here, what is it that you're expecting to see? That you have to emphasize, all right? Number one, the logo, okay? The description, the URL for that specific thing, and the state of it, okay? See, do you see this thing? There is an option where you will say it is open or it is free, right? Or the price of it, okay? So that has to be now mentioned specifically here. The first one is display, iPad apps display during search. So the first criteria for this is expected is that logo to be present, all right? This is one thing that you need to check. Main heading must be hotels.com HD, all right? Hotel booking, what else is that? Hotel booking and last minute hotel deals, and last minute hotel deals. So this is exactly what you will be testing, all right? You are expected to do this. Category must be travel, all right? There are categories that you will see, all right? Then screenshot with the welcome screen, all right, as in IMG 001, all right? Now, if app not installed, then you'll see a free button against the app, all right? If app is installed, then you will see the open button against the app. If app needs update, okay, needs update, you'll see update now button against the app, okay? Anytime you see the state of this, it is very important. Now, do note, some of this is not directly in your control. Apple, the way Apple takes this information and presents it is very important. Now, why is this important, team? Why is this kind of depth is important? Let's say tomorrow you change the logo and it is not reflected everywhere. Then it's a problem. Let's say tomorrow you change it, the display, what are you supposed to show, okay? Instead of hotels.com, HD hotel booking and last minute hotel deals, you want to also put hotels and airline booking. Anytime there is a change that happens to it, that needs to be get reflected, okay? Now, this is for the installation part, team. This is not just how you will see the application being installed, the process of installation itself, but even for the entire process of someone searching for the app, finding the app, installing, and so on, okay? This is one. Second thing is, this is iPad's display during search. So now the second thing to this is pop-up display of complete app details. All right. So here I'm going to put this into image 002. Now, just for this specific scenario of installation, look at the depth to which we are having to go. Now we already have our screen here. I'm going to take a screenshot and putting it here. Team, there is a very important reason I'm emphasizing on these things so much. Okay, I want you to understand the reason why we're doing all of this, and it's not just a blind process, because the process you will customize it. based on the project and so on. It is the approach that is very important. Right? Unfortunately, this icon has come up in front. Let me take this. Any of you having issues with my voice getting broken down in between? Sometimes, team, what happens is it is not at my end, it is also at your end. So if the overall audience does not have an issue, then I should be fine. But I'm going to come to your questions, team, in a quick minute once I'm done here. So if you have an issue with the audio, please let me know. If it's happening, I will try and speak slower at least. Alt print screen. What is this? Okay, there we go. The dock is also a little big. Let me. Okay, so here, do you see this thing? The icons that are there, and the tabs that you want to see in details, in the related ones, and the ratings and reviews. Okay, so some of this is provided by us. Some the others are provided by Apple itself. Okay, Apple will show you, App Store will show you what are the related ones. So you don't have to test the related ones. Why am I not seeing it here? Okay, there you go. So you don't have to test what is happening in the related ones. But the things on details, for example, is something you have to test. Okay, what are the screenshots that are there? Okay, screenshot 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these screenshots that are there should be there. And in fact, this is a very critical area for you to test, team. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. Pop-up display. Expected. What is it that you're expecting here? All right. Under details tab, ensure the 4 main screen shots. Okay. Tomorrow, if there is any new functionality that is added, any new feature that is added, you would want to entice the audience by giving them more details on that screenshot. Correct. So you want to be able to get to the depth of testing. Sometimes what happens is everything is there. There are 4 images, but they are not the correct 4 images. You have 1, 2, 3, but the 4th image is the old one. It has not been updated. You want to make sure that these images, the screenshots of the application shown at the App Store, are according to what is expected. Okay. So if you have multiple displays of the image, then please make sure that you're taking screenshots of all of them. Okay. So for image 002 itself, under this, I'm going to create a new one, image 002-2. Okay. So here I'm going to put the new one. So the only difference here is I've taken 2 different screens on this. Right. Now the next one that you will get to is description. All right. The complete description and the short description, both of them. Okay. What will be the short description and the complete description? Make sure that you have it explicitly written. Okay. Description, complete, and short. Short is basically the first few lines. Okay. We're talking the first 4 to 5 lines. What you want to mention, make sure that it comes up in the specific front portion. All this is very critical from the applications, search engine optimization, applications, marketing approach, and so on. Okay, there is a lot of emphasis, team, that has been given to exactly what words should appear in the first para. Okay, hotels.com app is the secure and easy way to find and book the perfect hotel for you. Okay. Based on what description is there, the success of the number of people who are downloading and using these apps become very important. Okay. Now, this is very important. The description, exact description, and so on. Then comes the updates. All right. Then comes the updates to overall. Updates. Company info, right? Versions. What else? The Privacy Act will be there. Privacy policy, terms of usage, and there will also be app info, like how much is the memory of that application and so on. Now, all this team is also very essential. I'll tell you why each of them will become essential, why you need to focus on. For example, do you see this? What's new? June 12th, 2013. Okay, if this is the latest update that has gone, it is coming as a feed from hotels.com, the app developers, to the App Store, iTunes Store, and that is where the update is done. If a wrong update goes, then it's a problem. Okay, so the update as to what's new should be there. The information of who the company is. Do you see the seller information? The category under which it is, the last updated date, the version of the application, the size, overall rating is picked up by Apple automatically, and the generic requirements. All right. So these details are important to be present. And then other information as the version history. What versions are we using? The privacy policy, and show update histories, all the previous versions, and so on. Okay. All of this is very important to test team. Okay. And note, we are only working right now on the iPad app and not on the iPhone. So to the iPhone apps, we're going to come as a later extension for this project itself. All right. So let's go back to that screen, and you can take this screenshot as well and put it up here. So there's so much about ensuring that we have the right display of the screenshots as well, right? Everywhere. 3 and okay. Pasted here. So we're talking about information, developer info, version history, more than version history. It will be what's new, those aspects. Okay, updates are basically what's new. All right. Then we're talking about versions, company info. So all of these details have to be tested. Remember, this is essential. This is part of the testing. Okay. Will I repeat this for every test scenario and test case functionally? No, this is one time. During installation, this is what happens. Okay. The other aspect of ratings and reviews, okay, like ratings and reviews and related, you don't have to go and test it yourself. Okay. You may want to look at it. In fact, the marketing team, the app developers, everyone will keep an eye on it. How many ratings have come, what has come, and so on. But it is not really something that you go and test, and you have to mention that very clearly. Out of scope, okay, in this out of scope is going to be ratings, reviews, related apps is out of scope team. Okay, is what you're going to keep as out of scope for this installation process. Now, so to continue with that installation process team, what I need to be doing is uninstall this and then reinstall it. Meanwhile, let me see if there's any questions that I could take related with the project. And remember this team, we are doing a project execution. I'm not trying to teach you a theoretical thing. How do we want to do it practically? That's all I'm trying to focus on right now. Any questions from the audience on what we have been doing so far? And definitely, please let me know who would love to volunteer for me to help me with test execution, because we will take this and we'll be testing it based on this on a different, with one of you helping me with it. Okay. Now, yes, correct. So one of this feedback is here. For example, right, which one was this? App Store. So under ratings and reviews, you have the current version, you have all versions. Okay. So I am saying that I want to avoid this because you don't control which version, you will control which version you are using if you don't upgrade and so on, or if you have an unlocked device, for example, device, okay, where you cracked open, where you've cracked the device. At that time, it will be different. But what is, one second, I don't know why my battery is dying down and the charging was not happening. So the current version, all versions, is not something that you would test from your end. Okay, this is the ratings version. What happened? What is the rating for the user? Why is it not charging? It should be even otherwise. Let me quickly bring a charger for it. But what was I trying to say? Yeah, here, current version, all versions, right? So this is just for the ratings point of view. Yes, the only one thing that will become important for you is the app support. App support will take you to an URL and open it. You can put that if it is working or not. All right. So here you can put app support taking us to that specific URL, and we can say that is what URL is this? ssl.hotels.com/customer_care_us.html. And sometimes what happens, team, is this is taking us to very iPad app specific URL. You will want to be testing this. Okay. Sweltana, we will come to VPN at a later point in time. Okay. On virtual private networks, we'll come to it at a later point in time. So, quick back to where we were, what we were doing. Hey, team, give me 1 quick minute. I need to go fetch a charger for this. This is not charging my device right now. So, give me 1 quick minute, please. All right, I'm back. I've got my charger and plugged it in. It wasn't charging directly from my laptop. So, okay, good. It is charging right now, which is in a good state. So now, team, do you see the depth at which? The reason I'm going to such a depth is when you go for your interview or your project execution, you know exactly what it is. The interviewer will not look at, hey, what do you do as an iPad? What do you do when you test an application iPad? Everyone will say that they will test installation, will test uninstallation. We will see what happens when incoming call comes. This portion, the left side, A portion, everyone will talk about it. But if you focus on this detailed steps, what are the different aspects that you will do as part of installing the application, that is very important. Okay. So now, for example, okay, if I want to uninstall the application, right? I wanted to, where is the screen? Okay, sorry, here you go. So here, we will come back to installation, team. Have we completed installation? No, we have to actually do install, fresh install, all right? We have to do a fresh install. Then we have to do time of installation on network. Now, is this very critical for us to really do it? Not really, Kim. Why? Because number one, these are hosted from the Apple servers. Okay, Apple is actually hosting that. Once you control the file size of it, then it is fine. But after the whole download has happened and the installation has happened, then the first time when you open the application and all that, that will become important. Okay, so the time of installation is only a benchmark for us to be able to go back and say that, hey, ideally, on a good Wi-Fi network, it should not take more than 3 minutes, let's say, for an application to install. That is the benchmark for good application, mobile application designs. That is what we should try and then emphasize back to the development. The development will keep that in mind when they're developing the application. Make it in a smaller package as possible. Right? That is why it will become important for us. Now, let me quickly uninstall this. We will come back to the other one later. App Store. Open is there. Why is uninstall not here? Do I need to go and do it through? Anyone who's a strong expert on iPad? I'm not yet into the. I wanted to get through with the iPad. Hey guys, why am I not seeing the uninstallation here for hotels.com? I can see open, and this will basically launch up the application for me. And I click on open, right? So I can go to settings. This is the rating about us, about this application, and so on. This is just taking it off from. Okay, yeah, I think. So let's delete it off. Let's delete the app right now. I wanted to do an uninstall. See, there's a delete and there's a complete uninstallation of the app. So if I go back to the App Store now you see it's coming back as free for the installation process. All right. In fact, team, when you did the screenshot, I did a mistake here. Okay. Error during test step screenshot, and that error is basically was supposed to be done with application not installed. Okay, so this is the starting state of how we're supposed to be doing it. Okay, so now team, here is where we're going to go about continuing with the installation. We could have you could see it hotels.com here, so we're clicking on it and then we're clicking on the install button. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot here when the installation is happening and put it out here under IMG 0031. Okay, so this image is basically talking about when the installation is happening. All right, so here we're talking about click on install, or click on free and ensure installation is done. Status changes to installing. All right. IMG 0032. I took IMG 0031 and IMG 0032. All right. So this is a description of how the test steps are written and how the images are also captured in. And now you could click on open button, which is launching the application. Okay. And this is the screenshot that you're expecting when the application is launched for the first time. Okay. And you could put it up here as under installation itself as IMG 003 3 and say that this is the image. I took it for the wrong one. second, team. All right, there you go. So team, I know I'm going very, very slow. The intent is very simple. For the first project, this is how we will go. For the next project, we already have this data ready and you know exactly how to do it, and you can be practicing on it yourself. In fact, for the next project, we'll be doing it on an Android or an iPhone and so on, so you'll get the variety of it. But each of this detail is very critical. Okay, launching the app for the first time. All right, and here time of installation on network less than 3 minutes. All right, that is the what you're testing for. Anything that is not as per the detailed steps that you've written, you will report that as a defect. Does this make sense of how we have done overall just the testing of the installation process alone, team? Is there any other question that you have regarding only the installation? Because we still have to go about doing various other things below. But these are the what you will be watching when you're doing the installation testing. So team, I think this is good for today's session. When we come back on day 4, which will be on Friday, what I want to do is quickly, in a faster manner, be able to complete off all of these, how we go about launching the application, uninstallation process, do a few more of these, and then go into the test execution during the second half of that session. All right. So I want you to start practicing. Day 1, day 2, I've showed you everything that is needed. I will also be putting this details of all these files on the website. You can start downloading it from there, and you can start using it as a practice thing. All right. So this is version 1.1. This final document as project 1 will become a great handout for you to take as for your practice. All right, let me take a couple of quick questions and then we'll move on. Okay. Ran, your question. Hi. To uninstall an app, you have to hold your finger on the app, keep pressing it. The app will be shaky and you will see an X button in the top left corner. Select it to uninstall. Thank you so much. Absolutely right. To uninstall it, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Basically, keep your fingers pressed on the app. Yes. So I was not sure if it was taking it, for example, on an Android device right now. What happens is when I do that, I'm only moving it from one screen, but I'm not really uninstalling the app, right? So just by doing this and clicking on this, I'm taking it off the screen and not uninstalling it on an Android device. Okay, that is the reason I was not sure. I in fact assumed that I expected it to see the uninstallation button besides the open icon, and that is why I was a little confused about it. But yes, that's exactly how it has to be done, and it worked when I did it. Is there a chance of we knowing expected results before we install the application? Absolutely, Jeevan. So here is the thing. Let me re-emphasize. How did we do it? Fundamentals again. Okay. How did we create this right now? We are looking at a release like R1. Let's say release 70. This is the version of this application. In fact, by even guessing, it is currently version 2.2. Okay, this is version 2.2. All right. Let us say that we started documenting version 2.2 of hotels.com right now. Okay. Tomorrow it will be version 2.3. At that point in time, what will happen? You already have the idea of how it is supposed to be during installation. You will say that the changes to this is the description is changing. What's new you're changing? You are changing the version number of it. If the size of the application is changing, you're changing it, and so on. Okay. So what I meant to say is, where do you get the inputs of what needs to be tested? So right now, we saw the application and created for version 2.2. Tomorrow, when version 2.3 is coming, okay, so the test scenarios or test cases that you created has been generated by looking at version 2.2. Now, the next version 2.3, for 2.3, we will not look at the application. Okay, we will not look at the application like we did here. We will look at the requirements document, the requirement specification document, and know that, okay, even before the application goes into version 2.3, we will be testing it. Now, what you're doing also, team, is we are doing it live on the live application, the production application. Okay, how you test it will be the same, but before it moves into production, finally you will have to test it, right? So how do you install that application file on your device that is still not available on your Apple Store will become very important. Development team will give you the file that you can take and install it on your device directly without having to go to the App Store. In fact, if you go to itelearn.com, I've shown how you can do that for using your Android device, how you can take the APK files and start installing. Similarly, we're going to be doing it for iOS as well. All right. So team, when we meet on day 4, we will have to complete our test scenarios specifically designed for mobile application testing and get into the testing portion. Okay. Jivan, is my answer clear to you as to how you go about doing the entire creation of test, what needs to be tested? All right. We are taking it from the application right now, but then any changes from there on, you'll be taking it from the requirements document. Right. All right, everyone. Thank you then. We'll see you back in day 4, which is on Friday. We will have Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The sessions will be going forward. So we'll see you at that time. Okay. Thank you all. Bye for now. Thank you.